Hi everyone, this is Hanzala, and on this video we are taking a look into Admission Webhooks server. This question is on the Code Cloud Mock Exam 1 question 8. This question is telling us we need to make sure that when pods are created in this cluster, they cannot use the latest image tag, irrespective of the repository being used. To achieve this, a simple Admission Webhooks server has been deployed and developed, a service called the image-bouncer-webhook. This is exposed on the cluster internally. So if you do Kubernetes get service and we do get deployments, we can see it's over here and the service as well. This webhook server ensures that the developers of the team cannot use the latest image tag, make use of the following specs to integrate it with the cluster using an image policy webhook. So this task is more or less telling us that we need to integrate this webhook with the API server using the image policy webhook configuration so that the Kubernetes knows to consult the webhook before allowing the pods to be scheduled. How can we do this? So we can create a new admission configuration file at the etc admissions controllers admission configuration.yaml. So we need to create a file in this directory. The kubeconfig file with the credentials to connect to the webhook server is located over here at this directory, and is telling us that the directory that the file is in has already been mounted on the API server at this point. So use this path to reference the admission configuration. Now, this is really important because we need to remember that this location over here is actually this location. So let's take a look into root cd root CKS image policy, and we do cat admission configuration. So this directory here that we're in right now is actually this directory. And because it's this directory over here and it's been mounted at that point, we just need to create a file in the same location called admission configuration YAML. Copy this and we can do vim paste. So what do we put in this file? Well, if we search up the keyword admission, we can see it gives us admission control in Kubernetes, and it's got something to do with controllers. So let's take a look. So this provides an overview of admission controllers, and it's just going to go into detail. But because we're doing a question, we just want to quickly breeze through and find what we're looking for. So here it's telling us the Kube API server uses enable admission plugins to take a command to take a comma, and this controls the plugins. So for example, namespace lifecycle limit ranger. So what about what we are looking for our plugin, which is the image policy? Let's do that. We can see this over here. So it's telling us to use a configuration file for the behavior of the backend. We need to create, it needs to be in this format, and we can actually embed the configuration directly in the file by using this. So we're going to do that. Paste it over here. Just double check the YAML syntax. That's correct. And now we need the kubeconfig file, but we know if you go into the next tab, cd into CKS. Let me double check. Yes, CKS and image policy. We know that the file is stored over here. And this location, again, we need to remember is actually this location that it's going to be mounted to. So we need to copy this and put this over here. And then do slash and the name of the configuration file, the kubeconfig file, which will be this. And then the other part we need to remember is it tells us here, make sure that if the latest tag is used, the request must be rejected at all times. So we cannot just allow it default allow by true. So we have to say false. So it does not let it create the latest image tag and allow the pod to be created. So we do false here. So that looks good. We can save the file. So on this tab, we're going to go into now the manifest files. and we're going to open up the API server file. And we need to now, once we've opened up the API server files, we need to have a look into the next part, which is, it says over here, reference the image policy webhook configuration file to the API server's command line flag, which is this. So we need to reference the new file we have created using this. So if we do hash, paste this in, and just line this up, and we need the directory. So if we go back out again, remember this is the directory on our host, but this is not the directory it's going to be mounted to. The directory is going to be mounted will be this. So this is a common mistake you can make. So we paste this over here, and we need the name of the file. So let's do ls, and we want the admission configuration file. We paste that over here. Just gonna make this a bit bigger. Okay, so that's done. And now let's scroll back up, and we can see that over here it tells us how to enable it, the plugin, and we need to use -- admission plugins, but we already have that here. Now to enable what we want, we just need to put a comma in and the name of what we are looking for. So we know it's the image policy webhook. All we have to do here is type that in. Just ensure that it matches and it looks exactly, even the letters are the same, because any mistake here, it won't work. So we can save this. And we can actually double check one thing as well. We can see over here, it is already mounted, and it tells us the mount path is Etsy admission controllers, and that mounts to here, which is what the question was telling us as well. Now this may take a minute for the server to get working again. So just wait a minute. We can check journal-ctl fu kubelet. And what we can also do is, in case there's any issues, we can cd into warlog, cd into pods, and we can cd into kube system and the kube API server. cd into kube API server again, CKAD 0 log. Okay, and let's close this. See if we can do get pods. Oh yeah, so it's running. And now what we want to do is we need to do the next step, which is to delete the existing pod in the namespace as violation of this policy and recreate the pod, ensuring the same image, but it's using this tag. So what we can do now is if we do k-nkubectl and we do the namespace and we do get pods, we can see the pod over there, and we can double check this. And we can see that it's using the latest image tag. So now what we want is we want the YAML file, so we can edit this and we can redeploy it after we delete it. I'll call it pod1.yaml. Okay, can delete this. We don't need this, and we don't need anything with the resources and after. So you can just delete all of it. Okay. Now that is all deleted, all you have to do now here is specify the tag, which is 1.2.7, and save it. And once that's done, we just need to delete the pod, which is this, And if we do delete, change the get. So this may take a minute. So now that the pod has been deleted, we just need to apply create our file. So that would be pod.1.yaml. And now if we do get pod, describe pods, we'll do get pods. We can see that it is running, and if we do describe, see that it's running with the 1.2.7. So that's working as well. Now, what we'll do is we'll end the exam because that's every task we've done it. And while this loads up, just drop a comment and like if you found this useful. If you have any feedback or if you got stuck on anything, just drop a message below and I'll take a look. And while this is loading, we'll see what it gives us. But I also, before the end of the video, I also want to show you what would happen if we write the wrong file and how we would troubleshoot this. And this would be very useful for the exam or any other future that you work on Kubernetes. You can see that we are past this. We have done the question, but for example, let's go back now. And we have the Kube API server file over here. Now, what we can do is I'll go back to terminal 1. I'll go back out. And if we do cp etc Kubernetes manifest kube-api server file, and we'll copy it over here. Then we'll go to terminal 2. So we have a copy of the working file. Let's go into the file now. And for example, let's say we put the wrong name in. For example, we wrote etc/new, which doesn't exist. And we save this. It's not going to run. And what will happen is, it may take a minute to respond. If we go back out, and we cd into kube systems, and we go to kube API server, cd into kube API server, you can see the 0 log. It's gonna create a new log, so just wait. Okay, let me go back out actually. Kube API server, kube system, kube API server, and we go into this one, and we can see there's 2 logs here. So let's try, let me do ls once again. So it's just 2 logs, 2.log. Let's open this, and you can see over here it's actually telling us that it cannot read the admission configuration file. So this gives us a clue that something is wrong in the YAML file. But what if there wasn't any logs? What could you do then? Well, if we have crictl installed, what we can do here is we can do --help, since we don't know the command, and we can do ps to list all ps to list containers. And we can do -help here, and we want to list them all. So we can do -a, and because my screen's a bit small, I'm just going to open it up just so we can read it and close this up. Okay, so we can see the API server has been exited over here, and the container is this. So if we go back into and we do help once again, we can do logs. So if we do, and we put the name of the container in this, Let me try that once again. Copy the container ID, double check. It's exited. Just one moment. The logs. Let me try that again, just double check if it hasn't changed. Yeah, so it changed it. Let's do this again. And we can see over here again, it's giving us the same log output, which is failed to read. So hopefully this is very useful for debugging and checking the API server if you cannot find, if you can't figure out why it's not responding. Now to restore this back to its working state, we just need to copy the file back in, which is cp kube API server. And we just need to write etc Kubernetes manifest and the name of the file. And we go back into this tab, and we should see the file that's been changed. Yeah, you can see the new file, the file has been restored. So this will take a couple of minutes to get working again. So thank you for watching. Hopefully this has been useful, not just how to answer the question, but also how to troubleshoot if things go wrong, because they can go wrong sometimes. So this is a good way of figuring out how to look at the logs, how to use different aspects to figure out and troubleshoot to get to what the error is and what the issue is and how to restore it. Thank you for watching, guys, and drop us a like and comment if you found any of this useful.